Good morning to one and all present here. On behalf of Department of Computer Science and Applications, Faculty of Science and Humanities, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, I welcome you all to the webinar on multi-cloud management. Shared knowledge. It is a way to achieve immortality, says Dalai Lama. To make this true, we have arranged a webinar on cloud management. I request Dr. Ananta Padmanabhan, our Dean, to give the felicitation address. Over to you, sir.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself, sir. Yes, sir.
Very happy morning to you all. Respected Director Academics, Dr. K. Subram sir, our dynamic resource person of the day, Dr. Bhaskaran Jampunathan, Cloud Practice Head, Tata Consultancy Services, HR Department, staff members, and my dear students. It's my privilege to welcome all of you to this digital platform in your busy schedule. Today, we are going to have a webinar titled Multi-Cloud Management. What is cloud? So in SISTIS, cloud is a place we store and retrieve data in digital space with the help of internet. In general, a cloud computing is saving data in virtual space. Multi-cloud is managing the huge volume of data in different clouds so as to eliminate the dependency of any single cloud provider. It minimizes the risk of downtime and data loss. It increases the storage available to business. Different cloud providers like Google, Amazon, IBM, and Oracle are available. And in 2019, Amazon itself had handled 148 billion transactions and transferred 306 terabytes of data, which is very huge. As we are getting into multi-cloud, there are a lot of challenges involved in managing, but at the same time, many researchers are going on in multi-cloud management system. Our resource person has published many research articles on multi-cloud management system. He is a cloud practicing head in TCS. So I believe this webinar will show us some lights towards what is cloud computing and how to manage multiple cloud. Thank you very much.
Request, sir. I request our Director, Dr. Subram, sir, to give the presidential address. Over to you, sir. Director, sir.
Yes, madam. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Distinguished guest, Dr. Bhaskaran Jampunathan, Cloud Practice Head, Tata Consultancy Services, Dynamic Dean, faculty members, and beloved students. Good morning to you all. And this morning, we have a very dynamic and senior scientist, computer science, particularly in cloud management. We are fortunate to have such a great dynamic person today. And on behalf of SRM, we should be thankful to him for sparing his time. And regarding this topic is a very vital topic, cloud management. And simply when we put it in a practical world, it is an opportunity for business to gain visibility and control over public cloud environment. You know, in post-cloud environment, all the companies are facing a lot of problems. They want to minimize the waste. They want to optimize the spending capacity, and they want to know the optimized the technical knowledge or experts knowledge, and maximizing the security and compliance and preventing the data breach. All these things are very, very important in this post-COVID scenario. I think this cloud management is effectively managing and improving the cloud environment in this angle. And most of the companies, like Dean has pointed out, Amazon and other big companies, they are concentrating on this multi-cloud management, mainly to gain visibility and control over public cloud environment. That is the purpose. And there are some benefits also on cloud management. You know, particularly in Amazon, tightened security is the main feature using this cloud management. And significant cost savings. You know, today, in post-COVID scenario, all the companies are planning for cost saving. and minimizing the waste, as I mentioned now. There is a significant cost savings. That is, public cloud and cost saving go hand in hand. Very, very important point. Public cloud and cost saving will go hand in hand. And this cloud management is a very simplified compliance. And it is also another benefit of using this cloud management is enhanced visibility and control and expert support and advice. All these things are possible by following certain techniques, particularly as I mentioned, optimizing the spending capacity, minimizing the waste, experts knowledge, all these things. And today, even in the cloud management or whether it is a multi-cloud management or any even audit, and they are concentrating on automated cloud management. Automated cloud management in the sense raising the efficiency. Automation, everywhere automation, artificial intelligence has a major role in automation, raising the efficiency, and then innovation, transformation of IT, and low cost. All these things are involved in this, particularly in quality assurance and highly optimized intelligence system. This is a very important word I have seen. Highly optimized intelligence system that improves the enterprises, the companies. The companies are concentrating on optimized intelligence system. That is nothing but this cloud management. And there are three key benefits of effective cloud management. One is get unified view of cost and IT utilization. IT staff, for example, IT staff can accurately track the spending of the company. With the manual, it is not possible to track the spending of the company. But this can be done by unified view of cost by cloud management. This is a major advantage to all the companies. And as I told you, minimizing the risk of data loss. Every year, the data breach happening in big companies, the cost will be around $3.6 billion data breach. And so the data breach can be avoided. This is the global average cost, I'm telling you, 3.6 million data breach is happening. And cut down on IT wasted spending. Effectively, cloud management help get rid of unneeded cloud expenses. That is the very, very vital part in companies are concentrating. Unneeded cloud expenses. And there are three major divisions in this. One is called the business alignment. All the enterprises or the companies are concentrating on business work with the IT team and business units. So the collaboration of business units and IT team together come under this business alignment. This is one area of cloud management, cloud service management. Then service enablement, that is automation, as I told you. Then operational efficiency. That is also another important thing. That is optimizing the cloud cost and workload comparison, workload management. These are all the areas, even post-COVID, the people are concentrating. And particularly in IBM also, the hybrid multimedia management, they are giving importance for greater flexibility because they're concentrating here in multimedia because of the greater flexibility and agility and visibility. All these things are very, very important aspects of cloud management. I think our dynamic guest will throw more light on this cloud management. With these few words, I take this opportunity to wish you all success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Cloud is about how you do computing, not where you do computing, says Paul Martis, the COE of VMware. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the resource person of today, Dr. Bhaskaran Jambunathan. Sir has done his PhD in cloud management and has been working in cloud migration, cloud management and operations for more than 6 years. His industrial experience is more than 24 years and has worked in various roles in the reputed institutions, to name some, Oracle, Tech Mahindra, Cognizance, and many more. He has worked both in India and in abroad. His experience in cloud management is of more than 6 years, and he has been a scientist in ISRO and worked there for 8 years in image processing, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. His specialization is cloud management, and his numerous publications, both in international and national journals, are worth mentioning. His excellent skill in making idols out of clay is remarkable. Over to you, sir. Bhaskaran,
Sir, you
sir,
have to unmute
over
yourself.
to you.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Sir, Bhaskaran, sir, you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes, sir, but it is
Yes,
feeble.
sir.
Could you please increase your volume, sir?
1 minute. Yeah, is it better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning to all of you. My name is Dr. Bhaskaran Jambanathan. I am currently working in Tata Consultancy Services. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to work with, to interact with all of you. It is my pleasure to share my knowledge in the industry. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Ananda Padmanabhan for giving me an opportunity to interact with you people. Also, as mentioned by Dr. Subram and others, we would like to go through some of the aspect of cloud management today. And I presume that most of the people who are in the discussion now know something about cloud, and I don't want to get into some of the basics of that. But nevertheless, to continue the context of the discussion and see how the whole thing works. So let us get into some of the basics of cloud. Hey, are you able to see the screen? Just a minute. Hello?
You can share the screen, sir.
Okay. So just for the context of this discussion, I think these points are covered by the previous speakers. Just to give the context, see, the cloud computing is all about managing the data as well as processing the data and get the meaningful information in a better way, right? So you need in order to manage the system, you need three basic things. So one is the compute power of the system. So the compute is very critical, and we also need a good network to transit the data between different places, and we also need a good amount of storage. So compute, network, and storage are the three fundamental aspect of cloud computing that everybody knows. And in order to manage the compute power or the network or the storage, you need to have a dynamically varying capacity of these things, right? Whether the compute capacity or network capacity or the storage capacity has to dynamically change. It has to be scalable, so that based on the demand, it has to increase or decrease, because the user is going to pay what he wants or what he needs. So the dynamic pay per use model is very essential for the cloud management, and it has to be a scalable one. And other important thing of the cloud is the availability, right? Whenever you need something, it has to be available to you. So the availability is very important. And as you know, the system is a 10 to 5, right? So whenever the system fails, how the failover is taken care. That means if one system fails, the other system has to be immediately made available, right? So the availability and managing the failover is very critical. And also the other aspect, the every data or application or anything needs to be shared or accessed by multiple people, or what we call it as multi-tenant, right? So multiple people are going to access the data. So you have to make your data secured, so that the other guy or other company cannot access your data. So it has to be secured in the form of multi-tenancy, so that you only can access your data. So, and it also has to be elastic. So when we say elastic, it has to be expandable, right? Expandable in the sense whenever you need it, it has to increase. Whenever you don't want it, has to shrink or compress kind of thing. So, and access anywhere. You should be able to access the information from anywhere, whether you are at home or office or India or US or Japan or wherever it is, in any form, whether it could be mobile or laptop or your desktop, or it should be accessed anywhere. So these are all the fundamental aspects of that. And since we talked about failover, we also talking about SLA, like no. So whenever a system fails, it has to be immediately made available, right? So and whenever there is a failover happens, right? Or sometimes no, we call it as disaster, right? When there is a disaster happens, then you should be in a position to restore the system as quickly as possible. So there is a concept called disaster recovery, high availability and disaster recovery. So these are all the fundamental aspects through which we manage the environment better for any company. So there are different kind of models are available in terms of cloud. What we call it as the delivery model and the deployment model. So when I say delivery model, how the information is reaching to you, right? So like your Swiggy or anything, whatever you have, where the food is reaching you at home. We also have a similar thing here called the delivery model. Okay, so what we call it as a delivery model is like how it has been delivered to you. So there are three fundamental aspects of the delivery model. One is the platform infrastructure as a service, because the cloud is full of infrastructure, right? So when you say that infrastructure, how the infrastructure is reaching you in the form of a service, in the sense whenever you need infrastructure like any compute power or any network or any storage, it will come to you. Or whenever you don't want, it will be disabled from you. So infrastructure as a service, everybody knows. The platform as a service is another delivery model where we talk about the platform. When you say platform, it is sitting on top of infrastructure. So things like Oracle database is your platform, or any kind of content management or SAP system or anything is such things are considered as your platform. And the software as a service is on top of platform as a service. Software is getting deployed on top of platform. So any software, see, even your simple Google Mail, it's also a software as a service. Anything you are using today is a software as a service. So you as a customer can consume that. The software is sitting on platform is sitting on infrastructure, and that is how the delivery model is defined. But these are all the basic things of the as a service model. But today we have more than 20-25 different types of as a service model. Anything can be converted as a service model. So we call it as XaaS. X can be anything, right? Whether it is data, whether it is application, whether it is monitoring, or anything can be done as a service. That is where my specialization is, which I have been doing for last 5-6 years. So converting anything as a service is my core business work. And apart from this, these are all the delivery model we are talking about. And we also call it as a deployment model, in the sense how the cloud can be deployed. So your cloud can be deployed. That means the application which you are developing or developed can be deployed into any single cloud, whether it is Amazon or Azure or Google or IBM or Oracle, or your own private cloud, which you can have at home or office or college, whatever it is. That's a private cloud, right? So it can be either a public cloud model or a private cloud model. Private cloud is where on-premise it is available, and the public cloud can be anywhere. So in a data center, see, for example, Microsoft has its own public cloud called Microsoft Azure. So we have 3 data centers in India itself. One in Mumbai, another is Pune, another is Chennai as well. So like that, the different cloud providers have many data centers across the globe, and you don't know where from you are getting the resource whenever you request, but it is available to you. So that is public cloud. Whereas you can have a private cloud at your own college or at home also, or in your office or anything, where you can take a group of computers, virtualize it and create your own cloud with all the features whatever we have discussed so far. So we have so far, like last 5-6 years or more than that, people were talking about either a public cloud or a private cloud or a combination of both. So that is called hybrid. So hybrid is having both public and private together, is what we call it as a hybrid cloud. And this has been extended to the concept called multi-cloud. So when we say multi-cloud, it need not be hybrid, in the sense it need not be a combination of public and private. It can be all public or it can be all private, or it can be combination of both. Okay, because some people still confuse between what is hybrid cloud and what is multi-cloud. Okay, when you say hybrid, it has to be a mix of two different things. That means public and private connected together are called hybrid. Whereas multi-cloud can be more than two, or more than one also we can say multi-cloud, but it can all be public cloud, it can all be private cloud, or it can be a combination of public and private. Okay, so that is what we call it as a multi-cloud. And the very reason, like, why people are going to the multi-cloud, because as Dr. Subram said, like industries are moving towards multi-cloud in last 1 year or 1.5 years. And my research started 4 years back anticipating these kind of things. And my primary work was to design a framework to manage this, and we have successfully implemented and demonstrated as part of my research. So, but the industry realized the momentum of multi-cloud in last 1.5 years. So everybody said that there is a inevitable need to move on to the multi-cloud. And the reason why we want to go to multi-cloud, okay, what is that the industry is going to get out of this multi-cloud? Why not single cloud alone? So these are all some of the points which you are seeing or the reason. One is like, if you are having a single cloud, when that single cloud is totally down, then what you will do? Okay, so we can always say we have a disaster recovery, we can manage all those things, but your binding is only one with one person, one cloud service provider, right? You are bound to him, even if that is failed and it is restored back, you are bound to use their own service only. And the other points which you are seeing, like the security and privacy is one of the reason, and vulnerability attack, which is part of security. And you have limited control and flexibility, right? So every cloud service provider have something unique for them, right? So that uniqueness could be in terms of features, in terms of cost, in terms of usability, or it could be anything. See, for example, if you are having a Samsung mobile or iPhone mobile or something else, right? If somebody is using Samsung mobile alone, and then he is only restricted to that Samsung, right? Whatever Samsung provides. Whereas if you have Samsung and iPhone, then certain things are good in iPhone, certain things are good in Samsung. So you have the flexibility of using one of them, right? So same is the case here. If Microsoft Azure has certain things good and Amazon has certain things good, if you have more than one, then you have a flexibility of using both of them, right? And the other thing is like, as we have some challenges in terms of limited number of resources. For example, you are in India and you are stuck with Azure. So Azure provides a certain set of resources, but those resources, if they are out of your need, then you are kind of having issue. But such things may not happen normally, but occasionally also it can happen. But in such cases, you can look into some other cloud where the resources are available. The platform dependency, when we say platform, there are so many things like database, analytics platform, content management platform, SAP platform. There are a lot of platforms are available in each. Hadoop is another platform. These are all the platforms available in every cloud service provider. But certain features of, for example, if you take Hadoop as a service with Azure versus Hadoop as a service in Amazon, still the basic things could be same, but when we get to some of the critical stuff, Amazon is slightly better than Azure, right, in terms of Hadoop. Whereas if you look at SAP, Azure is better than Amazon. So there are cases like no, each guy has some kind of advantage over the other. So you have a flexibility of moving that, right? And the cost. So cost is very important factor which was addressed earlier also, because every cloud service provider, every service they are providing is based on cost. Okay, some services are cheaper in some cloud, some services could be cheaper in another cloud. So whichever you want, you can take the best of that, right? So these are all the things, some of the limitations you have, the what we call it as the vendor lock-in. That means when you are stuck with somebody, and if you are only having dependency with that guy, if that guy increase the cost, then you have to pay more. If that guy cut some services, you have to stuck with that, right? So these are all the limitations you have with the single cloud. Then what is that? Why do we need multi-cloud, right? So as we discussed, the very advantages of multi-cloud is, as I said, each cloud service platform like Azure or Amazon or IBM or Oracle, they provide certain features better. They provide certain services better. They give certain services in a better cost model. Certain services are available to you in certain region. For example, if I want to use SAP and if I am in Norway, it is not even available for me. Okay. So that is this kind of limitations are there for depending on service providers. So the need of multi-cloud, what it is like, so autonomy, right? What do you mean by autonomy? So I can reduce the reliance on any single vendor. I can move to switch to any vendor anytime, whenever I want, right? And it has a flexibility, as we discussed. I can move to any cloud for any service or any kind of resource I need. Then mitigation of disaster. See, for example, in Azure, for example, if there is a big disaster happens, and I need to run my business because I am running a financial company where I cannot afford to stop my financial service even for a fraction of a second, right? In such cases, I should have a flexibility to move to another cloud at will, right? And hybridicity is what we discussed, right? Sometimes certain things are you are having an on-premise, because there are a lot of computations you still do in on-premise, and you will have a combination of
sorry to interrupt. I think your PPT presentation is not visible, sir. Could you just share it again?
1 minute. Sharing. Share. Where is that share? 8 minutes.
You can just press the screen share button, and you can just share it. Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we were talking about the hybridicity in terms of connecting on-premise. On-premise means anything on the ground, anything on the earth is on-premise, right? So you can connect to any cloud, like connecting your on-premise system with the cloud. That is also a combination of part of multi-cloud only. And the other points we already discussed in terms of cost benefit, because each and every service provider provides different services at a different cost model. And when you as you increase the volume of your services, then there will be a big reduction in the cost as well. Okay. And the security concern, this is one of the biggest concern with many companies today in terms of security and also in terms of performance, right? What we call it as network latency and performance. Security is like, there are multiple aspects of security. There could be a data security, there could be application security, there could be network security, or different kind of securities are possible. So what we are trying to say is how these securities can be addressed is one of the key concern for many companies, right? So now coming into the real meaning of multi-cloud. So as I said, the difference between hybrid cloud and multi-cloud is hybrid cloud is a combination of on-premise and public cloud, or private cloud and public cloud kind of thing. Whereas multi-cloud can be all public or all private, or combination of public and private. So that is the basic difference between these two. And as we also discussed, why companies are looking into multi-cloud, because one is to avoid the vendor lock-in. Another is For example, if you have a, small team, so you have the each and every member of the team may have certain capability, right? But when these three or four different capable people are working together, you take the best out of them and provide a best service to anybody else, right? The same is the case with this model, where every cloud services have different services, and the companies are extracting the best business value out of the cloud so that they can provide the best service to their end customer, right? So that is how the model is being evolved. So this is what we just want to address, right? Why industry needs multi-cloud today. See, for example, like no, every company is today is innovative. So before I get into the innovative, the fundamental reason for companies today are transforming is everybody is doing the digital transformation. So when you do the digital transformation, what you need to do, one of the first fundamental thing you need to do is you need to modernize the system. Modernize in the sense your old legacy system has to be replaced or removed or amended with the new technology, right? So we will discuss some of those new technology, what multi-cloud supports. So the transformation is the first fundamental thing companies are looking at, and as part of the transformation, they are trying to modernize the system. And as part of their modernization, they are trying to automate, because the more and more they do the automation, the more and more they can reduce the error or reduce the manual effort or reduce the cost. So the automation helps the company in terms of doing all the three to achieve the this operational efficiency, and in terms of reducing the cost so that they can provide the best services, right? So for doing all these things, the transformation, modernization, and the automation, there has to be a lot of innovation to be done, right? So that they can find out the right tools, right technology, and the right kind of process, right kind of people, right kind of operating model. All those things are part of that, right? So this has to be done as part of the management. So, and the other thing is the application has to be distributed. See, for example, like you have application developed, but you are hosting it in Chennai, and a guy from Melbourne or guy from New York has to access the application. Then no, it has to be made available nearer to him, right? So that the latency and the performance can be minimized. So I don't know how many of you are aware of how the YouTube which you are watching on daily basis are working, right? There is a concept called CDN, so which makes your application make it available nearer to you, so that you can access it fast and it is available to you. It is something similar like the distributed application helps you in terms of making your application available nearer to you, so that you can access it better. And the process standardization. See, obviously, like different cloud service providers like Amazon, Azure, or Google, everybody has their own process. So you cannot follow different process also. So you need to bring some kind of a standardization. See, for example, in your banking, HDFC or ICICI or State Bank of India, all the guys have their own process, but they bring the process as standardized so that you don't get confused when you go to different banks. Same is the case with the cloud also, right? When there is a process standardization happens, you as the user, you don't feel the difference between accessing as Azure or Amazon or Google. For you, it should look like the same, right? That is the objective of that. And cost optimization and faster time to market, in the sense whatever they are creating or making, it should be made available to you in a shorter time. Otherwise, the services are of no use to you, right? So these are all some of the industry focus today. And as we are talking about, there are concepts which we already discussed in terms of scalability, security. Portability is another thing, because when you are moving from one cloud to another, your application has to be portable, right? So for example, like when you are moving from Windows to Linux or Linux to Mac OS or something like that, your application has to be portable, right? So the portability across cloud also is very, very critical, and the technology has to support that. And your thing is language independent, right? So when you say language independent, hey, somebody is scribbling. Let me do this again. Yeah, now it should be okay. So there is a language independency in the sense, whatever language, some guy writes in C, some guy writes in Java, somebody writes in .NET. So your application should be kind of language. Your system should be language independent so that they can communicate to each other better. That means the application written in Java should be able to interact with the application written in C or .NET or anything, right? And another important aspect of this is orchestration. So which we will discuss a little later. What is orchestration? So these are all some of the things why industry is looking at multi-cloud as an essential factor. Okay. So I don't know whether everybody is attentive, because I see some people are scribbling and all. I request everybody to pay attention, because this is going to be the future for at least next 10 years, and it is going to give you life. Please pay attention for next 30 minutes. So the point is like, what are the things we normally do in a cloud management? Okay, when we are talking about cloud, we obviously do the setting up of the cloud, right? Any platform you need to set it up, right? So setup is one of the important aspects. Then once you set up, then you need to migrate something. See, for example, take the analogy of building a house. So you need to build the house, that is setup. Then you need to migrate. That means all the items for your house you have to bring into the house. That is migration. And certain things are native application development, in the sense certain things you make within your house. Like that, within the cloud also you build your own native application. And end of the day, finally, whatever you have made or created or moved or whatever it is, it has to be managed. So these are all the fundamental activities which any cloud we need to do, right? And what are the features of those cloud? As we discussed, network is one of the important things. Network management is very key, and infra management, like whether it is a system or operating system or backup restore or any kind of things. It's you need to do the infrastructure management. Different type of infrastructures you will have in your data center or in your organization. So application is another important aspect we need to manage. And data, obviously, because data and application are tightly connected, and data obviously has to be stored, right? You need to have a big storage, and all those things has to be secured, and you need to have a better performance of the system. See, these are all the things are essential, whether it is a single cloud or a multi-cloud. Whatever you are seeing is very, very critical. But when it is a single cloud itself, managing all these things are very challenging. But when you get into the multi-cloud, then it will be more challenging, because you will, for example, if you have to manage 3 different houses, then it will be even more challenging for you, right? The same is the case here, because everybody has their own policy, they have procedure, they have process, they have operational thing, so they have their own security things. See, for example, even if it is the same cloud, the government security for Azure in India is different from the same security policy in US, because their US government security policies, their governance models, their procedures are different compared to what you have in India or what you have in Australia or wherever it is. But within a single cloud itself, country to country, these things are changing. But you look at a multiple cloud, where one cloud you will be hosting in US, another cloud you will have in India, the third one could be in Australia. The security and policy and procedures are different. So you need to bring some kind of standardization, some kind of governance model in the sense, how do you control and manage those things, right? So these are all very, very critical for any company to do that. And how it is being done, we want to get into some details, right? So these are all the points which I've been talking about. So application development is one of the basic things, right? So everybody develops application, everybody deploys it, manage it, monitor it, control it, whatever it is. So the application need not be in the same language, as I said earlier, because in Amazon you will have you can write it in .NET, in Azure you write it in .NET, or Amazon you can have in Java, and somewhere you can have something else, right? These things has to communicate to each other. So there needs to be a standardization across that. Then workload management. Workload is, I don't know, many of you may know what is the workload means. It can be a bunch of running things or a process which can run that, which can be moved from one place to another or one cloud to another and so on, right? So the workload has a combination of infrastructure, data, application, everything together. So what we call it as a workload. So that has to be, for example, VM management. So VM is a virtual machine. So virtual machine needs to be managed. So each and every cloud has its own virtual machine and its own way of managing things. So you need to go from one place to another and so on, right? And it has to be consistently monitored and scheduled, right? So that it can be measured with some set of parameters. You can understand the health of the system. Accordingly, you can move the things from one place to another. Then optimization, like see, all the systems are random. So everybody is running everything. So many people are running. How do I manage, control, and optimize everything? So optimization is one of the key things which every company is looking at. And orchestration. Orchestration is a very, very important topic to understand, because there is a central unit which controls all these guys together, right? So see, like a music orchestra, where one guy will control all the music coming from different instrument and mixing it and then managing it, right? The same way here also, different services, application, data, everything is running different place. There needs to be an orchestrator who controls the application build, application deployment, application releases, and workload management, all those things together. So that is what we call it as Kubernetes, which we will address a little later. So orchestration is one of the key aspects, and interoperability. So because different people are talking in different language, different policies, everything, right? When one guy has to interact with another, there needs to be a good interoperability between them, so that one guy's communication the other guy can understand. And policies and governance we discussed earlier. So these are all the key aspects of multi-cloud when we get into the management business, because every company is facing challenge in terms of managing all these things together. So how these things are done? So we know what are the challenges, what things are happening in the world, and all those things we discussed. But how do we do? See, for example, we are talking about portability, right? So I have developed an application in Azure. I need to port it onto Amazon, but can I just take it and throw it over there? No, it is not possible. So there needs to be a good system which should help you in terms of portability. So that is what we call it as containers. Containers are the lighter version of virtual machine, where your operating system and other things are taken out, and you only have the libraries and other things are part of your system. So it's a lightweight version of virtual machine, right? These containers are portable. There are many containers are available, like Linux container, Docker container, Rocket container, and many things are available. But the best thing people are accepted and using is Docker container, which helps you in terms of portability from one place to another. The second thing we are talking about the serverless architecture. What do you mean by serverless architecture? So for running any application, you need a compute power, and the compute power is part of your server, right? So whenever you want to run an application, you will go and set up your machine, you will go and set up your Windows server, you will go and set up your Oracle server. All those things you are wasting your time in setting up for running your application. But if these things, the entire servers are being managed by somebody else, then your job is only to develop and deploy. You don't need to worry about what that bloody server is all about, right? The moment you deploy your Java application, Amazon guy knows it is a Java application coming, so he will initiate the Java server automatically for you. So that is the serverless architecture. Okay. So just for your information, Amazon has Lambda and Azure has Fabric, right? So these are all the things, serverless architecture helps. And the third important technology which we wanted to know is DevOps. So most of you might know what the developer will do and what is an operational guy will do, right? When you say operational guy, is an administrator. Administrator does what? He takes OS setup, patch and all, patch management. He will do server hardware failure setup, network configuration, user configuration. all those things he will do. Backup and restore, all those things. There is an administrator job. Whereas developer will develop the code, debug the code, deploy, build the code, deploy it, test it, all those things they will do. So these two guys have to collaborate together so that the entire operational efficiency can be improved. So it's a huge topic by itself, and anybody wants to know more about DevOps, please go get into that. It is the core area which companies are focusing today. And the other thing, we are talking about infrastructure as a code, in the sense, for example, what do we mean by infrastructure as a code, IaaC? So anything you deploy can be coded automatically. For example, if you want to set up your Oracle server, instead of you go and set up manually, click, then do that, I can write an automation script which will set up the whole Oracle database for you. Same is the case of virtual machine, or anything you see can be coded with the code like Chef, Puppet, and Salt Stack and things like that. There are many kind of Ansible. These are all some of the tools that are available as infrastructure as a code, right? And platform as a service is again like, see, for example, you have an infrastructure, you have a platform. Platform, what I mean is Oracle database as a platform. Any kind of such a platform is available. Okay, so those platform is also made available to you. So you don't need, whenever you want Oracle database, just a request for that. Somebody has already set up the database, they will give you access to you. They will have everything enabled ready, right? So, and the other one is microservices. Microservices is again, I don't know how many of you know SOA. So the other, which is extended version of SOA, is called microservices, right? So when we say like SOA is nothing but a service-oriented architecture. So anything as a single application you write each and every component of your application as a service. Okay, the extended version of service-oriented architecture SOA is a microservice, in the sense that each and every service is further split into small services, so that the services are made available, distributed across the different locations, so that it is lightweight for you and it is scalable. So that today's bank and insurance companies are heavily using microservices. That is why you are getting a better user experience. So these are all some of the technologies which are supporting multi-cloud, so that people are in a position to switch from one cloud to another. And the central unit, which is an orchestrator, you see, which is a Kubernetes as a platform. Kubernetes is the fundamental technology now, which is every cloud service provider is using. So it is basically an orchestrator which connects multiple component, multiple cloud, or even within the cloud, different component, it will interact and coordinate between the task and give you the services which you want. So that is what we call it as orchestration. So this is again, it's a quick thing which everybody knows. This is a famous diagram, the difference between a virtual machine and a container. So I don't want to spend, it's a lightweight form of virtual machine, so I don't want to spend much time. So platform as a service, as I said, this is the, so when you see this public cloud and private cloud, and we have a PaaS as a platform sitting on top of that. On top of that, you have a applications running, right? So the platform as a service helps you in terms of hosting different application onto your platform. See, for example, I can host any application on top of Oracle database. And as part of that, it streamlines some of your development and maintenance aspect, and also it helps you in terms of improving your security, compliance, governance, and isolate developers from different operational tasks. So it's a huge area by itself. Okay, we need to spend a lot of time if you want to make it understand what is platform as a service. But just for the context that anything what you need as part of Oracle. See, for example, what you need in Oracle, you need to have your own database. You need to have your own security. You need to have your own access control. You need to have your own schemas, right? Schema anyway part of your application, but the other things in terms of like, see, for example, if you application needs to deploy more data, that means the one database is not sufficient for you, or whatever storage is not sufficient for you, it has to scale up automatically, right? So as the demand increases, the scaling should increase. And the data, see, for example, in the same Oracle database, one student will deploy his application, another student also will deploy his another application, and third student will deploy the another application. So your database or your platform has to be multi-tenant. That means whatever you are saying or doing should not be visible to the other guy. That is what we call it as isolate developer, or what we call it as multi-tenancy, right? So you need to have a secure system, and also it has to be available to you whenever you need. Suppose there suddenly when you are accessing an application, your database is crashed, then somebody has to automatically bring up your database and connect to you, so that no, you will not feel the failover part, right? So these are all the essential part of platform as a service. So it's a huge area by itself, and we need a lot of time to do that. For the interest of time, I'm moving to other areas. Now we come into the actual thing, no, what we call it as a multi-cloud management, right? So what we mean by the management, how the components or the application or the services or any other thing in each and every cloud can be managed, number one. Number two, how the applications are portable from one cloud to another, the kind of workload management which we are talking about, and how the applications can be monitored, because any system has to be monitored, measured, and you need to take a corrective action, right? So the monitoring is one of the key aspects of that. And again, the other important things which we are talking about, how do you make your system is secured, how to improve the performance. So these are all the 5-6 key parameters, right? So when we do that, no, there needs to be a centralized one, because the point is all the points which I discussed, every cloud service providers are having, whether to do the management or monitoring or security or performance or storage or anything you take, every cloud provider has. Like every house, we are doing some set of tasks, but the kind of thing what you do in your house could be different from in your neighbor house, right? In certain areas, right? Your eating habit could be different from his eating habit. So same is the case between the cloud. One guy, the way he manages security is different from the way the other guy manages security. The one guy, he does the operations, backup, restore, all those things different from the other guy. So there needs to be a centralized unit which kind of control, or rather transform or bring some kind of standardization in terms of process, is where no, the essential part of it, right? So how do you do the multi-cloud management is what the critical part of it. And the key aspect, one of the key aspect of that is to have a centralized monitoring. So every cloud has its own monitoring, but there is a, say for example, in your house, your father or mother could be monitoring everything in your house. But in your whole apartment, there is a centralized monitoring guy called a security guard sitting in the gate. Same is the case here also. Every cloud service provider has its own monitoring, and you have a centralized monitoring. Same is the case like no different process. The deployment could be different in each and every cloud. The release management could be different, or your backup restore could be different, or your everything could be different. So that centralized control unit which does all those things is called a Kubernetes, through which you can connect multiple cloud, and you can manage and bring some kind of standardization, and you can make it portable and so on. The scalability also, right? So what happens, like no, in one cloud all the resources might be exhausted, everybody might have used it, and now you have to make a decision to move on to another cloud where certain things are made available. How do you know that the other guy, the resource is available? First of all, can I move it over there? Whether can I deploy it over there? Whether he will accept it? What is his essential criteria for doing that? All those things are very, very critical as part of multi-cloud management. And also the other aspect, which we discussed earlier also, interoperability. Everybody has to communicate to each other, and everybody should understand what the other guy is talking, right? The interoperability, all those things. So for that, there is a management framework is available, which kind of consistently monitor, measure, and do the workload management, do the scheduling, do the process control. All those things, the framework is available. Every cloud service providers are building their own multi-cloud management framework, and through which so although they are the owner of their own cloud, they should know how to interact with the other guy, right? So that such a management framework is very, very critical today. and industry is putting a lot of money on that. So the other important thing which you want to know is how this management is supported by the machine learning and the artificial intelligence, the prediction part, right? How do you kind of predict? See, normally it is easy to measure something if some event has already happened. For example, if the server is failed, everybody can say, hey, the server is failed. And you can easily find out why the server is failed. But can anybody say that the server is going to fail? So that is where the prediction is important, right? So everybody is investing a lot of money and time in terms of analytics and machine learning, and in terms of predicting that. Say, for example, today, let's say I have 100 servers. Out of these 100 servers, today 80 servers are being used and 20 servers you have capacity. But tomorrow, can I say that no, all the servers will be used and I need another 10 servers? There is a possibility. So that is where the companies have invested a lot of money on prediction model in terms of load management, power failure, network failure, server failure, data management, all those things with the kind of prediction, so that they know tomorrow they need 110 servers. They will keep themselves ready with the 110 servers tomorrow. How do they do? It's a huge topic by itself. So for that, you need to know analytics very well. You need to know how the optimization has to happen. Optimization in the sense how you effectively manage your resources so that you are taking the best out of each and everything, right? In terms of optimization, in terms of prediction, in terms of improving your operational efficiency with well-defined process. So all those things are part of this management, which helps in terms of that, and machine learning is the key driver for that. So when part of this management, we are talking about the measurement in terms of monitoring. We are talking about optimization. We are talking about in terms of bringing some operational process together. We are talking about portability across a different platform. Then we are also talking about interoperability. So these are all some of the factors are there. And the last point which I want to mention is bringing some standards, because everybody, see, for example, I can have my own management backup process, you can have your own backup process and all, but there needs to be some standard, right? So so for that, the industries are still working on bringing some standard across the cloud, and there are some standards are already available, so which is people are already following that. Okay, so this is the framework which I am talking about right now, which will do the monitoring and data aggregation and data normalization. I hope people know what is normalization. So bringing everybody under the same kind of same level, so that your measurement is easy. And you have all this machine learning and decision theory, which is what people are doing a lot of study. And how do you manage your workload? See, for example, today I am running in Cloud A some SAP platform. Suddenly, I feel the cost is high, or the resource is not available, or the security concern is there, and so on. I need to move to the other cloud. How do you say I have to go to another cloud? Which cloud I should go, and why should I go, and what benefit I am getting? So for that, there are a lot of techniques are available, which will help you in terms of choosing the right cloud for your right services, right? So these are all some of the points which you see on the text, like measure, monitor. You need to also understand the context of your discussion and how the applications are related, and what is the typical pattern you are following. When you say pattern, like see, for example, every day 10 o'clock your resource consumption is high, 11 o'clock it is going down, again 12 o'clock it is going up. So there is a pattern of consumption you will have on a daily basis, and how do you decide to move, and who will help you in making the decision? That is where those predictive models are helping you in terms of making the right decision, so that any guy who is managing or monitoring this system will take those input and make a decision to do that. And certain things you can schedule it also. How do you do the scheduling, right? So that for example, tonight at 10 o'clock my application A has to go from Microsoft Azure to Amazon. So you can schedule it so that the scheduler will take the application and deploy it over there. So those kind of scheduling things are very important things. So key aspect of this is workload management, scheduling, resource management, monitoring, and optimization. All those things are very important aspect of cloud management. So this topic is very wide, and a lot of things are available to discuss. But in the interest of time, I just want to bring it to this level. So all this time we have been talking about the advantage of cloud, right? We said in a single cloud what problems we have in terms of vendor lock-in, in terms of security, in terms of availability. All those things we talked about single cloud. That is why we are saying we are moving to the multi-cloud. But whether the multi-cloud can solve all your problems, the answer is no. It is a better model compared to a single cloud, but still you will have challenges in terms of the attack surface due to system complexity, right? Because the more and more resource you use, the more and more system complexity will have. And if any problem happens, you don't know where you will have a problem, right? And your data privacy. See, if you can store your data in a single cloud, you can make it secure. But when it is distributed across different clouds, still you will have a challenge in terms of data security. And sometimes you don't even understand what the cloud service providers are talking about. There could be some conflict of policies, right? As I said, what Amazon's policy could not be accepted by Azure and so on, right? There is some loss of control over resource, right? When you are doing lot of things, you don't know where your focus is completely. Sometimes you miss your focus and you will have loss of control and the complexity in terms of managing the system and so on, right? So obviously, like when you have to manage a multiple system, you have a management overhead also available. Okay, so these are all some of the problems which are still there. Okay, the companies are working on that to address these areas and bring some kind of standardization. So that is pretty much I want to say today, because I heard somebody unmuted, so I'm hearing some noise. Anyway, let me stop here, and any question and answer I would like to address from anyone.
Yes, sir. Sir, is there any industry-specific challenge to the cloud management, sir?
No, see, all these points, whatever I said, are challenges only. See, the fundamental challenge is security. Okay, so because as I said, the security can be of multiple form and multiple thing, right? One is the application security, data security, storage security. All those things are one form of security challenge. The other form of security challenge in terms of your policies and governance, because every country or every cloud service providers are different, right? So security is one of the key challenge, and second thing is performance, right? For example, like how do you measure the performance? See, one cloud could be nearer to you, it can do the job better, but the other cloud could be farther to you. So there will be network latency, and your availability performance challenges could be different, or the kind of compute power you have chosen here would be different from the other place, or the compute power available to you could be different. So performance is another important thing. Security and performance are the fundamental problem of industry today. And the third thing is governance, right? How do I bring some standards across the different clouds? So I need to have a good governance model. So when you say governance, I hope everybody can understand how, for example, today COVID-19, the state government is still struggling to bring a proper governance into the system because nobody is following, nobody is understanding. So bringing a governance or control power which everybody can understand and accept and do is another challenge. So security, performance, and governance are the key challenges.
Okay, sir. What standards and protocols are used? Who provides and controls them?
Ma'am, Batmadi ma'am, your voice is not clear, ma'am. Please repeat the question, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not
I'll
able to
repeat the
hear
question,
you.
sir. What standard and protocols are used? Who provides and controls them? That's being posted in the chat box, sir.
No, there are so many standards are available. So, for example, TOSAC is one form that is towards orchestration or something. I don't understand. Remember the full form of that. That is a standard. See, for example, when you say standard, what it means? I have to provide some set of rules. That rules and principle and procedure, everybody should follow. See, for example, if I am developing an application or storing an application or deploying an application, I need to bring some kind of a standard. So there are some standard models are already created, which sorry, there are a lot of noise. Yeah, now it's okay. So there are a lot of standards are emerging. Okay, so
Sir,
everybody
is
is
it possible to run simultaneously? Is it possible to run project using multi-cloud system simultaneously?
yeah, it is absolutely possible. Hey, can you reduce your volume? It is so loud actually.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Now, the role of cloud in manufacturing sector, sir. The role of cloud.
See, manufacturing is full of process. Okay, everybody knows whether every machinery or every manufacturing unit is full of process. Number one. Number two, manufacturing is full of data. Okay, you know, a lot of machineries are there. Machineries are bringing RFIDs through which a lot of data, IoT, and all those things are available, right? So data is one fundamental aspect, and process is another aspect. So these two things are very essential for manufacturing company, which are highly addressed by cloud. Because no, all the data, different machines are emerging. Is we are managing through IoT, right? Internet of Things, and the IoT is full of no data which needs a huge volume of storage. So the storage has to be managed. The data has to be processed with high compute power, right? That compute has to be converted into an information so that you can take a decision, right? So the compute, storage, and network are part of the manufacturing business, right? So cloud is very essential, and all the process standardization is what we are talking about, which manufacturing process can be done. See, for example, there are a lot of process today are getting automated. So how do you get automated with the new automation techniques like RPA or any other things we are talking about? Many things can be automated, and to make it automated, you need a good set of compute system should be made available to you always. So that availability and failover is taken care by cloud. So it's every manufacturing company today are heavily using cloud. Yes. Hello.
Okay, sir. So one more question, sir. How do we explain the working as an idle hours of cloud? I repeat, sir. How do you explain the work idle computing?
How do you explain?
Working as an idle hours, sir. The working as an idle hours of all the resources in multi-cloud management.
Ideal hours. Okay. See, for example, like what we call it
Yes,
as
sir.
cloud burst. Okay. So cloud burst in the sense, see, for example, like if you take a week, see, Monday to Friday, you are doing a lot of work. So you need more compute power and you need a lot of other cloud resources. Whereas in Saturday, Sunday, your requirement is very less. So whenever you need the scalability part of cloud is taking care, and whenever you don't need the resources will get released automatically. So during the idle time where you don't need a resource, the resources gets released automatically. Okay. So same is the case when you look at the different seasons. See, for example, you are talking about sale of any retail company. See, for example, you take any retail company where the sale is peak during the festival hours,
It was not
and
that.
during and for other days the sale is not that much. So accordingly, the resource consumption is more, and the consumption is taken care by the cloud resources in terms of scalability and availability. Yeah.
Last question, sir. How do you foresee the trends in cloud computing in Indian domain?
So Indian domain, I don't know what you mean by Indian domain. See, if your question is related to domain within India, see, for example, the banking sector you take. right?
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many of you are aware that no, the ICICI as a bank company, they are using heavily IBM cloud. Okay. So for example, you take any cloud, any companies today, right? Whether it is a telecom company, whether it is a hospital related things, or whether it is insurance company, or you take any kind of industry sector today, right? Even if you take the simplest thing of Sangeeta Hotel, they are also started using some of the cloud services today. Okay, so everybody is trying to understand the advantage of cloud because your paper use is model is well understood. That means whenever you need, you are paying. Whenever you don't need, you can disconnect the service. So every industry understood that and adapting to the cloud more and more. Second thing is no, they know like no, their cost management or their manual effort has to be reduced a lot. So for that, cloud is the better model, so that no, those things can be taken care automatically. And also like no, they want to bring more of automation, right? When you bring more and more automation, you are reducing the manual error and you are improving the operational efficiency and you are reducing the cost. Okay, so all those things are the fundamental aspect of any company, and all your 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever you are talking about in a telecom company are closely associated with the cloud. Because no, I don't know how many of you are aware of, there is a concept called the edge computing, which is helping all this 5G technology for mobile companies. In a year from now, you will see a better mobile services available to you. On all your satellite communications, whatever you watch TV or whatever you do today, are all kind of related to communication and availability of services, right? And the last point is the user experience. See, today everybody wanted to have a better user experience, whatever they want, whenever they want, and wherever they want. What, when, and where are addressed by cloud, because it makes service available to you. For example, if somebody is ordering some food item through Swiggy while he is running a bike on a OMR, right? So whether he is on a bike in OMR or whether he is at home, the service is available to him. So such availability improves the user experience. For that, to make the things available to you, you need a system or resource should be available, which is enabled by all these cloud services.
Okay, sir. Can you kindly specify few open source cloud facility for doing small projects, sir, research projects? Few
See, there is
open source.
I don't think there is a open source cloud. You can use open source tools on cloud. Okay. See, there is a simplest cloud, what we call is Alibaba cloud, which is relatively very small and cheaper. But all these cloud service providers are giving free services. Okay. So some of the services are free and every account holder can consume up to $200 of free services. So there is no open source cloud as far as I know, but there are a lot of open source tools which you can deploy onto cloud. See, for example, database, right? So MySQL is the one database which is open source, which I can deploy onto any cloud, right? Or any kind of open source tools can be used in cloud. So it's not a problem. So that is how no, the things are available. But if you are looking at totally free, it is totally free for some amount of hours or consumption you have, any cloud services.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for educating us on cloud management. That was a lucid presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I thank the director who is pillar of support for our all activities. I thank my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ananta Padmanabhan sir, our dean, who is our motivating factor and he supports us in all the activities that we do in across. My special thanks to the webinar team and Mr. Magesh for all the technical assistance that is being provided. I thank you all, the participants, for giving us a great experience. Last but not the least, I thank the Almighty for making this a grand success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, so one final thank word to everyone. See, the point which I want to convey is like no, although management of SRM is putting a lot of effort to do that. It is students' responsibility to make use of such events from different industrial specialists like me, because it's a rare of a kind, because nowadays you students are greatly benefited by such thing. In my days we won't even heard about such things are available, right? But students today need to know how much effort the management is making to make you aware of certain things, and where the industry is today and where you are today and what you have to do to shape up your career, because your career is very important for you. Okay, so I request each one of you to spend some time in understanding of what is this cloud and what is this multi-cloud is all about, and all those things to improve your knowledge, so it will be helpful to you for your personal career. Okay, so last thing I want to say is the emerging area in the form of technology is the machine learning and artificial intelligence. So people can spend their time in terms of doing some study or course on that, because at least for next 5 to 10 years, this multi-cloud and data analytics or data science is going to rule the industry, and whoever is going to specialize in that area, they can reach heights like anything. Okay, so please make use of such things. We can only create awareness to you. It is your responsibility to get more and more knowledge in that area, and make yourself skilled, so that companies can look at you as an option.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
everyone for given opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Dean, sir, you have any questions, sir?
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Bye.